just go for it. See what happens. Hey, everybody, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this episode, we're going to talk about new Blu-ray and DVD releases, of which we have a number of, so who knows where this episode is going to go.
We never
really
do.
Don't.
That's for sure.
No. We've got a couple of Woody Allen flicks. We've got a triple for Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. So let's see what happens.
These are new Blu-ray releases.
Yeah, right. They're all new Blu-ray.
And for Woody Allen, it's Annie Hall in Manhattan. 2 great movies. Look great on Blu-ray. No extras.
Well, that's just the way he does stuff.
But why would, I own these movies anyway, so now I've got them on Blu-ray too.
Well, it's just about how good they look on Blu-ray. In fact, I watched Manhattan the other day and it looked fantastic.
But do you have like a high-def TV and, all this is going to make that big a difference?
Well, that screen over there is high-def.
Right, so.
But this one right here is not. So, yes, it's not like the best, but.
Right. It still it's still enjoyable, and they were kind of bargain rate Blu-rays, so, I mean, they're worth having if you don't, if you're just buying them for the first time, go out and buy them on Blu-ray. But.
The actual transfer is pretty good. Sarah and I watched Annie Hall a couple of days ago, and it was vibrant, colorful. I mean, it looked great.
Yeah.
It's more like the DVD isn't going to be the Blu-ray isn't going to be any kind of revelation for you.
Right.
It's just, it's just Woody Allen in high def. It's that.
I really
and it's actually well transferred. It's not a bad transfer at all. It really looks good. The image is stable.
No shaky cam.
There's no shaky cam. There's no visible scratches or pings or anything like that.
But, I don't know. My DVD looks the same to me.
Well, do you have a high def TV?
No.
Well, you got to have that.
See, that's where they get you. That's where they get you.
You got to have the high def TV and the
right clothes,
special connecting cords,
better shoes.
I mean, the color on the Annie Hall DVD is really vibrant. I mean, I thought the darks were a little, it's contrasty, but then again, that's just the way my TV is set. I like to vibe it up. I like to get all colorful.
Vibrant.
Yeah, I do. I do jack up the color, and it looked great. Okay. But that's like the best you can say about these discs because, again, that's just that's all it is. Well, you get the trailer on each film. And that's not even listed on the outside, but there is the trailer that you get.
Why would you want the trailer of the movie? That's when there's one company that sends us DVDs.
Very little marketing material for those two films.
And there should be a retrospective. If you're going to put out a Blu-ray, they should have some kind of retrospective. Either talk to Diane Keaton, talk to the cinematographer. If Woody's not going to do it, talk to anyone. That's not his style. Yeah, I don't. Is there any Woody Allen DVD that has extra features on it? I don't know.
It's just not.
Yeah.
When we interviewed Elizabeth Banks a couple of weeks ago, I was very interested in the fact that she talked about what it was like to audition for Woody Allen and that he always uses the same room and that you barely see him and that he just, it's really not complicated. It's actually, I believe that the way he does filmmaking is so staid and uninteresting that it's potentially just not entertaining.
Right.
Like I imagine him thinking this just isn't entertaining.
But you were entertained by
people
her
come in
story.
And they sit at the table and they do a reading and we set up the video camera and they rehearse for me and it's he's been doing it in the same place for 30 years.
Right. The documentary they just had about him on PBS
I haven't seen it.
Really interesting. Yeah. But just if you could have someone like Elizabeth Banks or Diane Keaton talk about the shooting or talk about the the lobster scene or Tony Roberts talking about something, to justify buying it again if the high def isn't going to make that big a difference.
Well, the thing here is that these aren't just like any of the Woody Allen films. These are like 2 of his top films,
right?
Annie Hall and Manhattan,
right?
So
if they bring out September on Blu-ray,
right? So this is really catering to the film lover.
Yeah, I mean they're good films too, and it was interesting watching Annie Hall again because I haven't seen it in years. That it holds up pretty well, and this time the movie for me was more about him than her.
Really?
So I paid much more attention to Woody Allen than I did to Annie Hall.
I love the supporting characters in that film. Carol Kane, Jeff Goldblum,
Paul Simon,
the Christopher Walken scene, Paul Simon. It just makes it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Well, Shelley Duvall too, as the Rolling Stone reporter. That was great.
The jokes are still pretty funny. It's a smart film. It's very heartfelt. I used to be a heroin addict. Now I'm a methadone addict.
You know who said that? That's Quinn Cummings.
Who's that?
She's the girl who starred in The Goodbye Girl with Richard Dreyfuss and got an Academy Award nomination for that.
Really?
Yeah.
The young girl.
Yeah, she's on Twitter.
Huh.
Yeah, she recently published a book.
Okay.
She's a writer. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is Manhattan. What was different in watching it again in high def was the scene in Manhattan where Mariel Hemingway's character wants to be with Woody Allen. I think he's like 44 or something in the film, and she's like 17, 18. So it's just the age difference is absurd.
Right.
But there's a very touching scene where he isn't being the wise ass, you know, always making a joke out of something. When he is sitting with her at the cafe having this conversation about he wants her to go to London. He wants her to go and have this. He wants her to go and experience life and, you know, and grow up. And she's genuinely hurt and saddened. And Woody Allen films this in close up, where Mariel Hemingway is crying, and I felt it was really affecting.
Yeah,
it was not, typical Woody Allen making slight of a moment. You know, it was
honest.
Yeah, it was very in high def. I was, where you're seeing the tears roll down Mariel Hemingway's cheeks. And the way Woody Allen filmed it, where it's a very intimate moment between him and her as actors, that is I found more affecting in high definition. You know?
And it bookends nicely with the scene at the end where he realizes, she's the right girl, and he goes to her house and she's already packed and going to London.
Yeah.
And there's a nice bookend to that scene where she's the strong one.
Yeah, there's a lot more love in Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's a love of the city, and there's more truth in people's emotions. Maybe there's a little bit of growth in terms of Woody Allen's directing and
big step,
and interplay between the actors, and so it's in a way that perhaps Manhattan is a slightly more mature film.
Well, and I think when we talked about the supporting cast in Annie Hall, there's a decent supporting cast in Manhattan, but I was more focused on the two leads, Mariel Hemingway and Woody Allen.
I just love the way that he's like, I couldn't get why Diane Keaton's character was always postscripting things that she said whenever she had an opinion about art or something like that. Well, I'm from Philadelphia and we don't do this kind of, and I felt just like Woody Allen. I'm like, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
What does this mean? Why are you framing what you said with the fact that you live in Philadelphia? How is that supposed to change anything? And its meaninglessness was entertaining.
And because of the lack of extras, in that documentary on PBS, they talk to Mariel Hemingway. They talk a lot about Manhattan and Annie Hall.
Really? Oh, I got to see that.
And she has a lot to say about playing the character and what it was like to work with him.
Huh.
So it's a nice extra. And I think it comes out this week, maybe next week on DVD.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
I'll check it out. John, what do you got?
Completely off the subject. Sword of Desperation. Of course, it's on your list, right?
Yeah.
This
totally.
is a Japanese movie. And at WashingtonCityPaper.com on the back says, if you're a Bushido junkie, there's probably no better film for you than Sword of Desperation.
What the hell's a Bushido junkie?
I guess kung fu movies, samurai movies, Bushido. Bushido's the code of the samurai, so he's a little too pleased with himself on that. It's a story about it's got this great opening. There's all these noble men and women sitting around watching a play, like one of those artsy fartsy Japanese plays. Guy in a mask doing a dance, and it ends. Everyone, very good, very good. They get up to leave, and there's the lord of the area and his concubine, and then soldiers and other people. And one of the soldiers walks up to the concubine and says, "Excuse me." She turns around and he drills her through the chest with his sword. Apropos of nothing. And she dies. And he gets arrested. And then it's a combination of flashbacks showing why he killed her and present day where he's not beheaded the way everyone thinks he should be. He's put under house arrest. Mm-hmm. It becomes a political intrigue, romance kind of movie. You kind of forget it's a samurai movie. But then there's the last 20 minutes. And it's carnage. And the sort of
John, when you say carnage,
yeah,
the way your eyes sparkle,
I know,
sells
I love it. Oh, the and the sort of desperation.
That's why people listening to this are like, Steve, you're looking deeply into John's eyes.
Yes.
What the hell?
It's you never see them sparkle anymore. The sort of desperation is a move this guy has made as part of his training. So it's like when I'm half dead and there's no other choice, I use this move. And again, he uses the move. You get to see it once. It's a cool move. But he just...
The move.
At the end, there's just blood everywhere. There's great samurai fights.
I'm curious, what is the move? It is the move?
It's the move. His last move before he dies.
Is this like a Zoolander thing?
No, it's not like steely, the steel ice. No, what is it? Steel blue or blue steel? The blue steel look now. It's his. It's his.
Or was it Magnum?
The Magnum. It's the equivalent of the Magnum. But the thing is, it's beautifully photographed. All the intrigue and the romance works perfectly. I was kind of not missing the fights, and then the fights break out, and it's just wild. So I highly recommend Sword of Desperation. And now for Brett, if Brett's out listening, I will mangle the names.
Yes.
It stars.
Here we go.
Yep. It stars Etsushi Toyokawa, Chizuru Ikiwaki, and it's directed by Hideyuki Hirayama. So I highly recommend it.
Good old American.
Yes. What else you got?
3 from Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh.
We got, you watched them this week, right? Spellbound.
I watched Spellbound. I watched Notorious.
Rebecca.
And I haven't watched Rebecca, but I've seen Rebecca before.
Oh, I watched Rebecca.
Did you,
Psycho. Yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah.
It's like more than, it wasn't, Rebecca's like 100.
It's over 2 hours.
Like 140 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But I remember the first time I saw it was at the Avon Cinema in Providence, Rhode Island. So I saw it on the big screen. And when Laurence Olivier says, "You thought I loved Rebecca? I hated her." I was like, damn! I didn't expect that. It makes perfect sense, but I didn't expect it. And, I just wanted to call my house Mandalay for like a weekend.
Mandalay. When I was talking about the movie last week and I was talking about, like a large estate, and the first thing out of your mouth was Mandalay. I mean, if you live at a place called Mandalay, can't you just see that I was going to say, I got to lose that word.
No, take Gestalt.
The gestalt of it would own you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like it would actually control the way you think and what you do.
Wouldn't it?
John, you live at Mandalay.
Right.
That's going to change you as a person.
Naming your house is a big deal. You live at this address. You don't name your apartment,
and you don't do what the house doesn't want you to do. Or you do what the house wants you to do.
A couple weeks ago, I got I downloaded a collection of Orson Welles radio programs. And one of them is Rebecca.
Isn't that on the disc? It's on the Rebecca disc, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
The Orson Welles thing?
Yeah, there's a radio adaptation of Rebecca on the disc as an extra.
Awesome. It's awesome.
I think you also get that, and you also get a audio interview with what's the guy's name? Directed Peter Bogdanovich interviews Alfred Hitchcock. I think it's on a couple of discs, possibly a couple of the discs. There's a lot of extras on each of these 3 discs.
In the radio broadcast with Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Daphne du Maurier, the author of the original book, is listening to the program and then is interviewed by Orson Welles after.
The actual author?
Yeah. She's in London, and we've got the radio
She's
connection.
like an early goth woman.
Oh, yeah.
Goth
She did a
chick,
bunch,
she was
did a bunch
weird,
of
man.
movies that have been turned into like spooky, a bunch of books that have been turned into.
Yeah, she's the author of the short story that The Birds was based on.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
Of course, they moved it from a Scottish village to San Francisco, and
wise thing, too.
They decided to take it away from the farm and put it out in the suburbs or wherever Bodega Bay. Bodega Bay, not exactly suburbs, but yeah.
So the other 2, Notorious and Spellbound.
Yes.
I liked one, I didn't like the other. Which do you think I didn't like?
I think you digged the Salvador Dali stuff. Right? Wasn't that too weird for you? I thought you'd dig that. I thought you'd dig all the creepy eyes in the ceiling.
No.
The Salvador Dali portion of Spellbound was a lot shorter than I thought it would be.
Right.
And apparently they filmed a lot more of it and did away with a bunch of it. So I'm thinking, man, this is some lost footage stuff here. It'd be great to find that.
Well,
but Spellbound didn't do it for you?
No, it didn't. The dialogue was driving me crazy because it was early. It's about, a psychoanalyst.
Yeah, wasn't that his first pick that Hitchcock did with David O. Selznick?
I don't know.
That's the one he brought him over. Hitchcock was going to do this Titanic film, and they researched it in England, but then Hitchcock wanted to play with more movie-making toys, so he moved to Hollywood and began working with David O. Selznick.
I just thought the scripts, both scripts were written by Ben Hecht.
Yes.
And
very prolific screenwriter.
I think they were, even in the beginning, there's like an explanation about what psychoanalysis is, and that this is what the movie's about. And I think too much of the dialogue was trying to explain psychoanalysis.
Well, I think it was new at that time.
Yeah.
At least in theaters.
Right. I couldn't make the leap. And I thought Ingrid Bergman was too wimpy.
Well, the build up to what's so wrong with what's his name?
Gregory
Peck. Yeah, yes. Gregory Peck. Cary Grant.
He's spellbound.
Yeah, he's in the other one. What was the other one? Notorious.
Notorious, yeah.
And then Laurence Olivier, Rebecca.
Right.
And Suspicion, Gregory Peck.
Right.
The build up to what is so fundamentally wrong with him is painful.
Yeah.
I think the introduction, like if they had just gotten to I don't know. Hitchcock has his reasons for doing what he does. It just takes so fucking long.
Right.
Man.
And
long time.
And there's things in this movie like, the camera slowly spinning around.
Yeah, he does some crazy camera stuff that was new at the time. I thought it was very cool. I mean, the stuff that he did, the shots that were he and Salvador Dali designed were insane. But I mean, that's only like 3 or 5 minutes of the movie.
Right.
The rest of the stuff is very staid.
Right. But there's the scene where Gregory Peck's walking in the room and the camera flips because she's on the bed. And, it just kind of turns slowly around as he walks towards her. Yeah. I was like, you're just showing off. It's not doing anything for me. But on the other hand, so Notorious was the Cary Grant one, right?
Notorious was, yes, it was Cary Grant, 1946.
All right, Notorious I liked a lot better.
It was a Criterion version of it.
And I liked
actually
Ingrid Bergman a lot better. She's kind of a drunken, party girl.
She had range. She had range.
Yeah, she did. I didn't see that.
You get that from Suspicion.
You didn't see that. But now she's this drunken party girl who gets hired, for lack of a better word, by the CIA.
I mean, not Suspicion. What was
Spellbound?
Spellbound. Yeah,
gets hired to try to seduce this Nazi living in South America to see out what the big secret is. Why?
Man, I loved the fact that the movie started in Miami and it was like this 1940s, early 40s version of Miami.
Yeah,
and then the period airplane that they fly on to get to where do they go?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, yeah. And then the fact that when they get to Buenos Aires, it's all the ambiance is established by the merengue or whatever Brazilian jazz is, wafting in the air while they're walking around there.
Yeah.
Whatever cafe they're hanging out in.
But there's that famous shot of I guess it's a crane shot of coming from the second floor landing down to the key in her hand. That shot makes a lot of sense. And actually, when I went on the Alfred Hitchcock ride at Universal Studios when they used to have it.
Really?
And that was one of the shots that they explained on the tour.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of these things where you could look through glasses and they would be the apartment from Rear Window.
Yeah, I remember seeing the house there, but I don't remember that.
They used to have an actual interactive tour. But anyway, I liked it a lot more. I thought
the Psycho House is what I meant.
Yeah. I thought the acting was a lot stronger. I thought there was better chemistry between her and Cary Grant. Cary Grant is, he's always so smooth, but in this movie he's troubled and smooth, and I kind of like that a little more.
Yeah. Could you believe that he got into the car with her at the beginning of the movie after she'd been drinking?
And he was.
Could you believe? I mean, she was. Yeah, and she's like, and she's going from side to side on the road, and he's
scared yet? Not really.
What's the speedometer at? 65.
Yeah. Yeah. He's suave. He's cool.
I mean that. If that didn't symbolize something,
right?
I was just.
And I think it had a much more satisfying ending than the first one.
I think we're good with Hitchcock.
Yeah.
John, what else? What do you got?
Track 29. Have you ever seen this?
No.
So Nicholas Roeg films at all?
Yes, of course.
So this is Teresa Russell.
He did a film in like 72 or 73 with Mick Jagger. That was the last one I saw of his. But anyway, go ahead.
Performance?
Yes.
No, it's Teresa Russell, Gary Oldman, and Doc Brown from Back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, Christopher Lloyd.
And so anyway, Teresa Russell's she's a housewife. She's married to Christopher Lloyd, who is he works in an old age home. He's a doctor in an old age home, and he's a model train enthusiast. He has trains running all through his house. Nice. But Teresa Russell's the unhappy housewife and borderline schizophrenic who spends her days drinking and, just pretty much drinking. Gary Oldman's character appears on a bridge, appears on a bridge, hitchhikes into town, meets her at a coffee shop. They just establish a rapport. He tells her he's the grown-up version of the son she gave up when she was 15. And then you find out maybe he's just a figment of her imagination as the story goes on. It's a complicated plot. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. Gary Oldman is insane. This was just after Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, I was going to say this is early for him.
Yeah, but he's really good. Teresa Russell, you kind of forget about how good she can be.
Yeah.
And I think she was married to Rogue at the time.
Yeah.
Either way, this movie is disturbingly sexy considering they're supposed to be mother and son.
Really?
And there's just some really weird creepiness. There's a scene of Sandra Bernhardt spanking Christopher Lloyd's bare bottom, which is very disturbing. Yeah. Really offbeat. This movie would never get made today. Never. Even I don't think an indie house would go near this. But good stuff and great Gary Oldman, early Gary Oldman. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm surprised Christopher Lloyd and Teresa Russell. I mean, God, I think do you remember Wild Things?
Yeah. Yeah, and Black Widow.
Yeah.
She diked it up with Deborah Winger. It's a classic.
Weren't you just talking about that a couple of weeks ago?
I'm always talking about that.
Is that that's kind of going on in your mind?
I think you cut it out at different episodes so people don't consider it, weird. But yeah.
John, you got a hand. Okay, turn around. On the bottom shelf there. Right next to the Tree of Life.
You have Tree of Life?
Where all things come from. The Rebound. You see the Rebound? Right there behind the print? You got it? Yep, that's it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. Got it.
Got it?
Cool.
Oh, and so close. Just dropped it.
This is new from Fox. And there's a reason why I think it's just a direct-to-DVD release.
Why? Because it's Catherine Zeta-Jones?
It's entertaining, but it's so...
awful?
No, it's not awful. It's just totally miscast. Like, I just don't believe Justin Bartha as Catherine Zeta-Jones's barista boyfriend.
Who?
Justin Bartha.
Who?
Okay. Justin Bartha is the guy who was like the tech guy in the National Treasure movies. Nicolas Cage's buddy.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting an image.
He has a very dry delivery. He's the guy that plays Doug, the guy that gets lost in The Hangover.
Oh, okay,
their buddy, their friend.
All right.
He talks like this. Yeah, we'll borrow the car. Everything will be okay. That guy.
So
horribly miscast here. Not a badly made film, but
is this like a hidden?
You can just see why
from...
the executives watching this are thinking that man, this is going to get trashed.
Is this recent?
It just doesn't work.
Was it a recent movie? I
think so. I don't recall ever hearing about it being in theaters.
No, did she do it after Chicago? Let's say.
Yeah.
Wow.
2011. She plays a suburban.
Was it a 2011 movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It went straight to DVD.
Yeah. She plays a suburban housewife whose husband cheats on her during one of her kids' birthday parties.
Uh-huh.
And so she immediately gets out of that situation and takes the two kids and moves into the city, moves into this building where there's a coffee shop on the first floor. And in the coffee shop is where Justin Bartha works and yada, yada, yada. She needs a babysitter. She tries dating and it doesn't work. And I think what's hilariously disgusting about this film is she goes on a date with John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Cool.
And he plays this another smarmy corporate guy, except it's one of the most... I don't even know how to describe this scene, okay? They go on a blind date. They're talking. You think that they're going to have this intimate moment. They're walking down the street. They're just about to kiss. And he says, hold on for a sec. And he walks over and there's a porta potty on the side of the street. And he knocks on the door. He opens up the porta potty, goes in, starts taking a number 2 and continuing the conversation with her while he's on the porta potty.
That's
she's
comedy.
in the sidewalk. Right. And then from there, they go to the restaurant. Right, where he tries to be all touchy-feely cute with her. And he's actually thinking that he's being cute while he's trying to put food into her mouth.
After going
I mean, this is like,
potty.
this is, first of all, I didn't think that John Schneider had a career and that he'd be appearing in a movie. And secondly, I couldn't believe that he was just this disgusting in this 5-minute scene in this movie, especially the porta potty scene.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot that fails about this movie.
How's she?
A lot.
How is she?
Oh, she's so terrifically good looking, which is why she's miscast. Anything that she does with Justin Bartha just isn't believable.
Right.
He ends up babysitting for her and developing a relationship with her kids that spout lines that are just insanely precocious.
Yeah.
And the relationship that they end up having, because I guess, he's the rebound, it never works. It never works. And they both come to this realization that, he's playing a 25-year-old. He's got to be in his 30s,
right,
and they're passing him as 25, where she is, I think, saying that she's 40 in the film or something like that. Huh. The film is so predictable and obvious, that it's a little bit painful.
A little while ago you were talking about High Fidelity.
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones in High Fidelity.
Terrifically well cast in that movie because she was playing a really beautiful, shallow person.
Right. Now, I also, a few weeks ago, watched Traffic again from Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
And she plays the mother and wife of the drug dealer who gets caught in a big sting operation.
Yeah, yeah.
She's also stunningly beautiful, but she gives a great performance.
Yeah, she's done
she's done well.
She's a lady. She's a lady with a sense of humor. I mean, and she's so beautiful that it's hard for her to be put into something right.
Right.
Because she's just like otherworldly beautiful. And we're always going to remember her for the entrapment scene, the laser
ass shot,
the laser dancing. One last thing that's coming out on DVD. I think, did it already come out? The Jerry Lewis thing?
It came out this week.
And I just got it. I haven't seen it.
We should wait.
Really?
Well, I don't want to spoil it.
But I'm eager to know what you hear about it. Let me put it this way. I'm eager to know what you think about it, even though I haven't seen it yet.
I had a blast watching it. It's 50, 60 years old, so of course it has some problems.
Wow.
But I think
we're talking like 59, 60.
Yeah, I think he did a good job with it. The one thing that kind of threw me is that his uncle in the movie is played by
Alan Reed. Oh, Fred Flintstone.
He was yeah. So when this guy talks in the movie, it sounds like Fred Flintstone's talking to Jerry Lewis. It just took me out of it a little bit. It's kind of funny.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's well worth seeing. Yeah,
I'm very. I just got it. I'm very very interested in checking it out. I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie A Man Called Flintstone from 1966?
Of course,
I just watched it for the first time this week.
Awesome.
I did not know that the Flintstones had a feature film.
A Man Called Flintstone.
I was just totally taken aback by it, and it's something that I had never seen before.
So did Netflix it or did you?
I saw it in pieces on YouTube.
Okay, that's all right.
Little by little. It only recently came out on video, and there's two versions of it. In fact, there's
two versions of what?
Well, because the movie was originally released by Columbia Pictures,
right?
They had a version of the Columbia Pictures logo that featured Wilma holding the torch, and that's not on the version that has been released on DVD by Fox.
Right.
So,
well, the
minor difference.
Comedy Network, yeah,
it's been on TV.
Cartoon Network has a couple weeks ago they started showing Flintstones from the beginning.
Yeah,
and I hit record, so I've got like 30 episodes of the Flintstones.
Nice.
And I watch them like every once in a while. I just watched one where they were Cary Grant and had come to town to make a movie.
Right.
And it's just like they're just so. It's definitely like comfort food to me. It's like Kraft macaroni and cheese to watch the Flintstones. So when I watch the jazz singer and there's Fred, giving advice to Jerry Lewis, it's kind of funny.
Alan Reed, whatever he had done, it was always going to be associated with Fred. So I did some online researching after watching the Flintstone thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it's funny because his voice is just a little different. Yeah. So if he tunes it up a little, it's going to be Fred yelling at Wilma. Right. Yeah, it's just, and when you see him, you know what he looks like? He's a very recognizable character actor.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what would he have been in that I know?
I don't know. It's just like that time period, the 50s. He was in a lot of movies as like second banana at the nightclub or stuff like that. I don't think I've ever seen him in a lead, but he's a very familiar face. and a really familiar voice. So
He was doing Fred Flintstone all the way up until 1977, until he died of a heart attack. And then the last thing he did as Fred Flintstone was he appeared on a episode of Scooby-Doo. It was like some Scooby-Doo offshoot episode.
Right.
And there was a fella who sang the songs for Fred Flintstone in A Man Called Flintstone, who took over as Fred Flintstone from 1977 on.
Huh.
Yeah. So... Anyway,
piece of my childhood.
Yeah, I got a little bit more informed about Mr. Fred Flintstone this week.
I'm so glad there's another person out there who's seen A Man Called Flintstone, because it's not really well known.
It was news to me a couple days ago.
And you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, right? Yeah, it's Fred and Barney in a big screen.
Yeah,
adventure.
I loved the aircraft with the pterodactyls on the wing.
How can you not? Now, Seth MacFarlane is supposed to be rebooting
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Is that they're redoing the Flintstones.
Yeah.
With Seth MacFarlane. Crazy.
I mean,
and it's scheduled for broadcast premiere in 2013.
Really?
So,
what do you think about that?
I don't know. We're going to get, he does so many voices for Family Guy.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to be voicing Fred? Is it going to be a voice like Fred? It has to be, right?
Right.
Something like that.
It's too ingrained not to be.
Yeah.
And that was the problem I had. Well, I had a lot of problems with the live action Flintstone movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them, but John Goodman is not Fred.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking up the cast, and it's sad that most of them are no longer with us. But the guy who voiced Mr. Slate is still alive. He's like 94.
Mr. Slate.
Yeah, he's up there.
And it's funny when you watch the early, like I'm watching the early episodes, and it doesn't have Flintstones meet the Flintstones. Yeah. That's not there yet. It's like a cold opening of Fred going and picking up the laundry and going into his house.
They didn't have the
theme
movie
song
theater.
Come in
what about the
later.
thing with the cat at the end?
He's still trying to put the saber-toothed cat.
That's like the saber-toothed cat is the pet that you rarely ever see the Flintstones have.
Except he puts him out at night. It's always Dino.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just funny because I love when they run across the house and it's the same background just being repeated over and over again. Same chair. They run past the same chair like 30 times. There's
something comforting about the Flintstones.
It is.
There really is. Man, next week we got to get to talking about the Asylum films. We got to do Two-Headed Shark Attack and Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh, and Celebrity Sex Tape.
Celebrity Sex Tape. Cool. I think, I think I was trying to end the show like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But I think we're good.
I gotta go.
So what I said 15 minutes ago.
Yo, what you said.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah. Until next time, everyone, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everybody.